nyantolum preji kendomi annun jisenao adabe hadamadung la baluwole kono annun hadamadung ka fengo fengo dundi akono kono hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jisenao adabe hadamadung la baluwole kono hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jisenao adabe hadamadung la baluwole kono annun hadamadung ka fengo fengo dundi akono kono ayanda ke ku senawol hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jisenao adabe hadamadung la baluwole kono annun hadamadung ka fengo fengo dundi akono kono ayanda ke hadamadin ila nyantolum preji kendomi annun jisenao adabe hadamadung la baluwole kono annun hadamadung ka fengo fengo dundi akono kono ayanda ke ku senawol ay ke kuti mi yalo ko ata hadamadung mantora madum one stop water solutions limited ibe jande gambia banko kan andun ye filtarole natal me yalo ko isala jiol kende andi anu isa senen inatale pour ka ji kendo ji senawo natale gambia banko kan jio mi yalo ko atal mantora la annun jio diata baati one stop water solutions limited ye filtarole natal me yalo ko alse muna fangano la alla pompol isala jiol tenten ya senendi coming alla fala nyame naketa pompoti bang abo holo fo nawek la pipe wala a filter sifa o sifa one stop solutions ya natale 10-inch filter set of 3 ya sotale filter mi yalo ko asidiyota aya tenten natara bankole ba kono fa kenyo wala kankan be bije sa be bon filter fana member ko 12-inch set of 3 filter mi yalo ko asidiyota aya dada aya senendi mensebeta alla jata kendato fana sotale CTO block carbon filter o fana mu filter mi yalo ko asi chemical o bonnino jiol kono le mensebeta alla jata kendaya filter member ko CTO block carbon mensi jiola chemical o be bondi akono pour alla jata kendaya sa hen nim filter sabol be kiliwo kilina pansundoku na wata tankol fana sotale kabrim 500 5000 fokata 10000 liters plumbing fittings fana be mol bulle alsemol tarano sukuta highway mariama kunda johnson wala ismol kubandi 505 5691 796 8270 one stop water limited solutions inatale ka jiko be sonende gambia banko.
You're watching QTV this morning, and I am Jaina Posonko, joined by my amazing co-host Ibrahim Abalde. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, good morning. It's good to be here, Jainaba. It's been long since we shared this platform.
Sure.
I think it was last week, Tuesday.
Yeah.
So we are back again on another edition. It's we're just coming from a weekend, and it's a fresh start. It's Monday.
Okay. So how was your weekend?
Yeah, Alhamdulillah, I spent all my weekend at home.
Okay.
I didn't go out. I spent the whole weekend at home watching movie, you know, spending it with the family. I have a side business too. You know, I was at my shop all this while. I mean, so I spent the whole weekend home, the shop,
bonding,
watching movie. You know, a whole lot of disturbance from the kids.
So my weekend, I went up country on Thursday. I went to Kudang. So it was an amazing experience because I was able to visit one of the sickos there where they get to sell groundnuts. Yeah, I went there and I engaged some of the people working there, and they talked about the fact that it's been a good season this year and that the money is available. Farmers do not have to wait for so long to get their money. So that for me was my weekend. I came back home smiling, knowing that, you know, at least these farmers are able to get their money. And something else that really caught my attention during the visit was seeing the girl child ride a bicycle to go to school. That really hurt me, you know, seeing them under the hot sun having to ride a bike because, you know, there's no access to transportation. That's just what they can't do as children, and it's really hard. I engaged them. Obviously, I can't have them on camera, but they spoke to me about how hard it is to really have to ride a bicycle, you know, and it's a bit thick. The bush over there, it's a bit thick. Anything can happen and all of that.
Well, I think, I mean, it's good that you mentioned the girl child riding bike to school. I mean, well, for me, it's not my first time of seeing this. I think for the past 10 years, I've been seeing such a thing because although I'm from URR originally, and after my school, I was posted there to work. So I got to interact with a whole lot of people in that kind of situation. Sometimes they have to cycle very long distance to get to their school. But I mean, at the end of the time, at that area to J, that's the only option.
That's the only option, but it doesn't mean I can't also express how sad I
definitely.
am
No, I know. I know you wish if they have another option.
Exactly, I wish, but that's what's available. So anyway,
it's good to know our people are happy, our farmers are happy now, they are paying them. Because, I mean, a lot of farmers complain a lot when it comes to groundnut selling and buying, that's the truth. it's good that they are paying them on the spot.
Yeah, and I'm aware they're collaborating with Q-Money and Ajib Bank. Q-Money, Ajib Bank, you know where they belong.
Q-Money?
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us, Momo Domboj, on the newspaper review. How was your weekend?
Sort of parenting duties. I had my kids on Sunday. On Saturday, of course, we were here till late.
Yeah.
So I had my sons on Sunday.
All right.
But it was fun. It's always fun to have kids
around. Have them around and listen to all the crazy things they have to tell daddy. Yeah, so moving on, we have the African proverb as usual. We have the newspaper review. And on Community Watch today, we'll be taking a look at the 2022 Endometriosis Walk. So I think if you've been following QTV for the past 2 years, then endometriosis, that word shouldn't be a surprise, which affects women, which prevents them from having children and gives them so much stomach pain. Prior to our engagements 2 years ago, endometriosis was not a disease that a lot of people knew in Gambia. But a young person called Fatou Jom is the one that introduced endometriosis to the Gambia and decided to champion an endometriosis walk in collaboration with the First Lady and just other health officials. So it's the 2022 endometriosis walk. We will be joined by Fatou Jom to actually tell us what the plans are for this year, inshallah. And moving on, we'll be taking a look at International Women's Day. We did not celebrate International Women's Day the way we should have. So we'll be joined by Fatou Balde, MBA, the founder of WIL. She'll be here to talk to us also about a shadow report on the TRRC in relation to sexual and gender-based violence. So that is all we have today. What is our African proverb?
All right, let's move on. Wood already touched by fire is not hard to set alight. Wood already touched by fire is not hard to set alight. That's our African proverb.
Okay, what does this tell you? Today, then you start at your by force.
It's reminding me of a Wolof proverb, which says, "Bala taw bi di ñew fekk wanak bi toy na bu yaga." So it reminds me of this. So.
And what does that tell you?
Well, it has a different interpretation. Well, if for me, let me take it this way.
Okay.
Well, a child. That is born by like I don't know how to put it. I have it in my head, but I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know how to put it. You know. You know, it's easier. No, it's easier when you talk and I connect. Because I know you are good
at... man say bi su amé.
No, it's...
Say bi su am man dina say ak Ibrahima Balde. You know why? Mr. Mbodj kon man dina mëna dogal. Parce que wax na ko ba pare de mu ne man suma waxé rek mu jël.
Wa dafa am na yu ma jël waye dafa am fu ñu
Mr. Balde cut to the chase.
Xam nga fofu
do fa wax de. Anyway, so Mr. Mbodj, really the proverb is that wood already touched by fire is not hard to set alight. So for me, it's taking a look at preparation ahead of anything. That is what it's showing me. Let's take it to school level. At a time when we were going to school, we used to say, hey, don't want to read ahead, so that when you go in class, it will be easy. Because you read ahead, when the lecturer is in front of you and lecturing, it just flows because you already understand it. Just to give a simplified aspect of what we're trying to achieve. So really, this is showing that when you put the required preparation in place as an individual prior to an activity or prior to something, a goal that you want to achieve, it will be easy to achieve because you've done the necessary. So you will just get to do final touches and achieve what you want to achieve.
That's it. So I wouldn't say that it will be easy,
but
easier.
Easier.
Yeah,
it will be easier. But there are circumstances where it's even easier.
This is what we were saying. This is what we do in journalism all the time, especially for us presenters. Imagine you have to interview some brain box in a subject that you don't know much about. It seems such a difficult task. But you realize also that once you've done your homework and you've grasped some conceptual understanding of what you're going to do, you know, the subject as it were, then it makes the interview easier. You will surprise yourself, but it just depends on the preparation. Being even a teacher. So with all of these things, for instance, we do say that maybe for a half an hour's lecture, for me, the equivalent here is for half an hour or 1 hour's interview,
right,
I'll have to do maybe 5 or 6 hours preparation.
Yes.
And that's exactly how it is.
Right. You know, sometimes even in journalism, people say, oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? They'll be like, oh, how is Mr. Mboj able to do that? It's because Mr. Mboj prepares. Even CNN, everybody that you see, even Obama. You see Obama deliver speeches without even holding a paper. You think it's just coming out of his head? No, 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 no. If you believe that, it's a joke. They get to prepare for these things.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
they need to.
You know? You get the impression, I remember once Sir Winston Churchill was quoted as saying that it took him 1 week to prepare for an extemporized speech.
Yes.
So that was a joke. Because extemporized means you're giving it off the cuff, on the hoof.
Yeah.
But again, just see what he said. It took him 1 week to prepare for an extemporized speech. So it tells you that, you know, when it looks like it's all natural, you know, just flowing, not quite. It's just that the preparation is spot on.
The preparation is spot on. So, you know, whatever you're doing, get to prepare. I don't do to-do lists, but if you feel like it works for you, go ahead and do it, because at least it will guide you as to what to do on a daily basis or just how to achieve things. I know Mr. Mboj doesn't have a to-do list as well.
Well, I tried having them.
For management purposes,
you have.
Every day when you come, you got to have your to-do, to do, and then
but
color-coded. You have broad aims.
Okay.
Isn't it?
I tried doing to-do lists many a times, but I forget about it.
You know.
So
we'll just go for a break. We'll just go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll head right on to the newspaper review. We have The Point. We have Foria here. Quite interesting headlines. So when we come back, we'll delve into that. To stay tuned.
Light. From the beginning of time, light has been there.
It is integral to our survival and to our way of living.
We need light to work,
to build,
to grow things, and even to see our loved ones.
Light makes things easier and better.
So QCell has changed the way you buy Q-Power to make it easier and more accessible.
You can now access the same service quickly and get your cash power tokens instantly with the new QCell Q-Power code.
To light up your world, simply dial *363#.
With the touch of your fingers,
with ease and convenience from the comfort of your home or office,
you can bring light into your world instantly with *363#.
Q-Power, lighting your world.
QCell Sunyabus.
We innovate, others follow.
Back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning, and if you've missed anything, just head right on to our Facebook page as well as YouTube just to catch up on what you've missed on this program. And also don't forget, we are sponsored by One Stop Water Solution as well as Surawa Kamara Unified IT Institute. For all of your IT needs, you just head right on to Surawa Kamara Unified IT Institute, as well as for all, you know, items you need to purify your water, head right on to One Stop Water Solution. So as the program goes by, the numbers will pop in front of the screen, and then you can take it from there, call them, and get to shop or window shop. So Ibrahima, we have The Point there.
Yes, that's the Point newspaper. Let's take a look at the headlines. GFS expresses concerns over Ferry's collusion with fishing nets, and of course, High Court orders freezing injunction in Banta Keita's cocaine case. National Human Rights Commission tasked IGP to investigate, prosecute PIU officers seen brutalizing unarmed civilians. Pap Sen appointed African Award Advisory Board member. Gambia among 8 cheapest African countries for expatriates.
All right, that's fine. So moving on, we have Director of Civil Service Reform speaks, and also 2022 parliamentary election nominations close, and serving people has nothing to do with age. This is said by Sidia Jata. And also Finance Ministry to formulate Green Recovery National Development Plan, and also 2022 parliamentary election nominations close, and court orders 2 banks to close Banta Keita's assets. And on the editorial, we have IEC's interpretation of ordinary residents, as well as have National Assembly members to hold their seats after the nomination. So, thank you so much for joining us once again.
Glad to be here.
All right, so the 2022 parliamentary election nominations have closed. You've been closely following some of the aspirants. So looking at this people and its composition, let's say its demography as well, putting that into consideration, you know, what's your take?
When you say demography, I wonder what you mean.
As in the combination of young people and older people. I mean, we need to consider
there are many young. They are virtually all of them, to me.
But
they're relatively young.
But 35 is, we peg it at that, right?
To me, these things, they don't matter much. What matters is the party machinery that will nominate somebody. And then if you qualify, then people will decide. Of course, we wish that there were more women. There's now this gender concern now. But we seem not to have sort of inch forward at all. It's still the same. But we understand that society, it takes a while to change. The legislation perhaps that would have helped, we couldn't pass it through. So this is it. This is what parties have decided. For me, I'm not going to give any value judgment. I'm not sure whether I should. I've heard a lot of other analysts looking at the situation and saying that perhaps the quality of candidates is not as high as it should be. I'm like, oh, this is how democracy looks like. I'm not going to do that value judgment thing.
But the thing is, you're talking about democracy, but there's ongoing talks that these political parties did not even do proper preliminaries, and democracy starts from there. Their internal selection of people.
The primaries. Yes, well, you do not know. Maybe they will tell you that they've got their own ways of selection. Absolutely. The deficiencies in the parties we've seen as well. I mean, it will be surprising if we didn't see them there. It is, the national deficiencies are reflected in all these groups. This is really what the reality is. So for me, I'm not even going to go there. The parties have nominated these people. However, they might have done so. If you've got the wrong candidate, you will pay the price at the polls. This is really what happens in the end. So I'm not going to go too much into how they do things. Just that this is what they've got. Now we will see what happens.
But if that's the case, then we'll put democracy aside in this instant. Because it did not start from where it should start from.
It doesn't work like that.
Well,
you have different levels of democracy. Democracy is everything that we do. So how parties organize themselves, because you might have one party with a more autocratic leader, then you have another party more democratic. So different parties have different characters. So however you may be, fine. When you select the wrong person, you will pay for it at the polls. For me, this is how I think.
They might not also pay for it.
But this is it. This is the risk you take in democracy. You know what I mean? Democracy can never guarantee.
Most of the time, they don't pay for it.
They don't.
But how do you know? Because normally, in any constituency, for instance, you may have 3 or 4 whatever candidates. One wins. For us, it's first past the post. Others don't. No, my point is that really, with democracy, can never guarantee you the right candidate. All democracy talks about is participation. We should all participate. But whether you will get the right candidate, it's always trial and error. Democracy allows you to make your own mistakes, but then you can rectify them again. This is the virtue of it. It will never guarantee you the right results.
You know, the assessment of the understanding of these aspirants. Because, you know, when they're interviewed and asked what they want to do, I do not hear them talk about bringing back the draft constitution or bringing in policies for education for women and some of these things. They are more of talking about the construction of roads and bringing in electricity.
But, you know, we haven't tested them yet. Once we've got the role of who are the contestants, this is where we come in. And you also realize that when it comes to these National Assembly elections, constituencies, they have their own local issues. It is up to us to go and find out in each constituency what are their local issues that, you know, they will expect their National Assembly member to deal with, to try to tackle stuff like that. So the testing is coming. The hard interrogations of these aspirants, as we call them, all of that will happen. And it will be localized. We're not going to allow them to just use abstractions, generalizations. Locally, what are the issues? How are you going to tackle them?
You know, Mr. Mboj, for me, I am interested in the involvement of women when it comes to this National Assembly elections. I mean, when you look at the number of women that have been selected, at least to contest for different parties, it's very low. I mean, in Gambia, we sugarcoat everything when it comes to women empowerment. You know, we are trying to empower women, a whole lot of conferences. I mean, but at the end of the time, when the reality on the ground, we leave all the women behind. We don't even think about them when it comes to our selection process. You know, is it that they cannot do it? Or is it that we are good at talking? When is this going to change? Any idea?
Oh my God, when is it going to change? Oh, well, he wants to turn me into a clairvoyant. I'm not a clairvoyant, young man. Come on, these things just reflect how the society is like.
Yeah.
It's just a simple reflection of what we are like. Mr. Balde, look at you, for instance. How many times have we had discussions around women and women's issues? You are as male chauvinistic as anybody I know. Most of us are. Even for us, I realize sometimes I have certain reactions. I'm like, be careful there. So people tell us, you know, some philosophers want us to sort of clean the common spots. So I have to constantly watch myself to be careful with my sexist attitude, my sexist language, and my sexist views. I am having to struggle with that. So let us be honest with ourselves.
Yeah, it starts with you, Ibrahim. It starts with you. You know, the last time I asked you about gender roles, and you told me, oh, but I'm not sure. So it starts from us.
You know, this is very difficult, and it is very complicated. You understand? The man that will stand and defend the rights of women is the man oppressing women.
Right, that's the thing.
You know, it's very difficult.
So it starts from us.
It seems like a very interesting thing to say there. I'm not sure whether there are stereotypes here. It's just about a matter of your personal attitudes. That's all it is. And we mean it. How many platforms you were talking about, people will stand up and say gender equality this, gender equality that, so they're getting all sorts of funding. You know, that is part of the international agenda now. So anybody will get funding, have your workshops and do all that you need to do, fine. At the end of the day, go back to the community, the society, and you look around. Nothing has moved, really.
Yeah, but we've had instances, but there are significant strides. Let's agree with that.
Snail's pace, that's it. There is some movement.
There is movement, yes, there is movement, because looking back, and now, the changes are there. Although there's a lot of room for improvement, but like I said, it starts from us. It starts from you, too.
You know,
us, you too, I mean, in front of the camera.
Us, all of us. I mean, I think when you talk about women empowerment and giving the right to women, I mean, I think it involves everybody.
Yeah, but not to preempt what Fatou Balde, MBE, is about to say here. We'll just leave it at that.
That's it, but there's another angle. I don't think we touch on that too often.
Yeah.
We tend to focus so much on rights. Fine, when you say that I've got these rights, what are my responsibilities?
Right.
I would like women to also ask themselves that, because sometimes I see some confusion.
Yeah, but when
there is so much talk about our rights, that, but I'm not sure, not so much the responsibility.
But the responsibility bit has been fulfilled for so long. It's the rights that are missing as we speak. Anyway, I do not want to get into this conversation because I'm already labeled on this platform as the fighter. So I'm not going to get into that now. But like I said, we don't want to preempt what Fatou is about to say when she comes here, because we are celebrating International Women's Day proper, and she will join us soon to talk about what her organization does and just women's issues in relation to sexual and gender-based violence. Now, moving on, the National Human Rights Commission tasked IGP to investigate, prosecute PIU officers seen brutalizing unarmed civilians. These were unarmed civilians. So when you saw that video, I'm not sure if you did. You did not. So there's a video making rounds on social media. Police actually attacking an unarmed civilian, completely unarmed, you know, and the person already surrendered, but they kept on beating this particular individual when Mamadou Sabali's nomination was rejected on that day. I saw the video. It was disheartening. I know you did too. We were talking about it prior to coming on the program. But these are things that are occurring quite frequently, because whenever there's a problem, we see how the police, the reforms, let's talk about reforms. Where is it yet? I'm not seeing it.
Yes, the police. that's sort of their modus operandi in how to deal with people. But with this social media video, I'm not really a social media type. Yeah. But when they show these videos, they appear so sensational. And then it sort of inflames the passions. And everybody keeps saying this and saying that. Yes, the police must look into it. Should they do their investigations? Let them do the investigations, and then we see what happens. But this is what we've been saying. We must have these reforms. And just as you've said, the institutions must reform. The police must retrain. We show all of that it is going on. But we have this habit of beating. The other day we were talking about corporal punishment. Be it at home, be it in the schools. So this penal stuff, what the police, what they're doing, is really the same symptom, as it were. So here we have quite some work to do in many ways. This is a problem.
Mr. Mboj, I'm not saying, the police will brutalize people. They should beat them. It's wrong. It's against human rights. You understand? But don't you think as citizens too, we have responsibilities to play? We should act responsibly to avoid other situations. You understand? For me, actually, I'm not in for it.
Okay. I was coming for you.
I'm against this, okay? But I have a whole lot of questions to ask. What leads the police to action? You understand? Because sometimes we only see the result. We don't see how it started. We are very good at filming just short videos and sending it. But what is the cause? What instigated this thing? Why did the police act that way?
What happened was that Momodu Sabali's was rejected. And obviously, when these things happen, we know how party militants can behave, you know, but there's no excuse. That's just the reality. Yes,
they are here to protect people.
It shouldn't be a basis in any way with the video that we saw of a group of police beating a person, a civilian who is completely unarmed. For me, it has no relationship with what you're saying.
I think what he's
saying. At
the
initial stage, I said it's wrong. It's not correct. But I think we also have to be responsible. If we are angry, we need to know how to control ourselves.
Right.
All right. I think what you're saying here is that video sort of decontextualizes the whole thing. You do not know what happened before, as it were. So really, it could be misleading what you see. Granted, but we have to move on beyond that. Of course, as citizens, we need to behave in this way or that way. We have the ideal citizen how it should be, but in reality, we know that it doesn't happen. So sometimes, some people will do certain things that will require you to arrest them.
Right.
But if what is in the video is true, that person unarmed, he has posed no danger. It's not simply the law. It is uncivilized to beat them up. He is no threat to you now. There are many of you, he's got nothing. Just arrest him and take him in. It is barbaric. I'm telling you, all the beating, hitting all the time. It is not civilized at all. It's not civilized behavior. It's just as simple as that. It's just appealing to humanity, not even to the law. If the person poses a threat, of course you have to defend yourself. Everybody understands that. But once you've been subdued, overpowered, you pose no threat, why should I hit you?
Well,
when I hit you, I should go
you know what I believe? Excuses like the ones that Balde is given. Come excuse binga joheni wow. This is what they bank on. This is what they depend on to say that they should do this.
At some point, dama ñëwaat ci suñ officer yi ndax ñoom jàngal nañ leen lii soo demee ba nga téye nit ki nga xam ne dafa amewu dara kooku ndax war nga koo dóor whether they know that.
Oh, they do. I think they do.
You know,
but they just
Mr. Mboj, you'll be surprised.
They cannot resist the impulse to
Jikola.
So these are things that should be put to them.
They know because it's part of your training.
We have seen a police. We have seen a paramilitary officer bi nga xam ne dafa vidéo boppam ak collègue am di ne nañuy génnaat ñu defaat leen lu garaaw you understand so sometimes you wonder ndax ñii dañ dee am information
it's part of their training, it's just a behavior.
Let me put it this way, if they do not really know that they're breaking the rules when they do that, they have no business being in the police. Get them out.
But what about if you don't get them out? They are still there.
Then you know that your police force is dysfunctional. You see, you cannot have your cake and eat it.
Well, more than swing reform.
Well,
reform
where is the reform? That's the problem. You know, Mr. Mboy, sometimes things are very slow in the sometimes, all the time. Reform kany lañ ko. It takes a process to reform. I mean, why waroon nañoo pass stage B?
But this is what we're talking about. Who's going to do the reform? Let us be honest with ourselves. With most of our institutions, who are there now? Those who were there with Jammeh, during Jammeh's time. So they were all within the system. There is no incentive to change anything. Who's going to change it?
Yeah.
Then we are doomed.
That's the reality. So, Ibrahim, any interesting headlines there, apart from the National Human Rights Commission calling for an investigation? I saw one on the ferry service up there.
Yes, exactly.
What does
Gambia
the headline
Ferry
say?
Service expresses concerns over ferry's collusion with fishing nets.
All right. And according to that particular interview, this has been happening, but I'm wondering why now? Why are they trying to make the changes now when it's been happening prior? And it's been disturbing the movement of the ferries. I don't get that.
Maybe a major incident happened now, because we are very good at that. I mean, waiting until when the damage is done, and then we talk about it, you know.
That's it, and I just don't understand why. Can't they just get, I would like to think that these fishermen, there's a kind of association. You know what I mean? Then you can talk, the ferry services, you can talk to them, and you have your basic understanding. It seems, well, to me anyway, it seems that simple, it's just a matter of communication and agreeing certain protocols, as it were. But so, if it has been going on for a long time, I wonder what have they been doing about it. It's important that we probe into this. Isn't there an association that you can talk to? What is going on? Is the industry, that sector, is it so disjointed that A would be doing this, B another thing, C another thing? Is it like that? What is it like? How are you communicating with them? What are you doing to deal with this practically on the ground?
Because we have unions for a reason, and I know they have a union there.
And associations of all
so they
sorts.
should have fixed this prior to, before, you know, leading to this saga or whatever you might call it.
And if they've agreed whatever, and some of them are breaching it, do I have recourse to the law? But there must be movement. They just can't keep on complaining all the time. So what are you doing to actually deal with it? I wonder, really.
Nothing. They won't do.
Well, they will tell you that they're doing something.
Yes.
It's a bit unfair to
You
say
know.
nothing. But how effective? But how effective is it? The fact that they're complaining about it now, showing us that perhaps what they had done in the past has not worked.
Yes, that's what it shows. But moving on, due to time constraints, we have Honorable Sidia Jata saying that serving people has nothing to do with age. That's what she's saying. Just the last time we were talking about competence and age and all of that, and Aliou Cisse, you know, decided to bring out the fact that, you know, all of these things are not a barrier according to the IEC if you want to be a parliamentarian. So that's what Sidia Jata is saying here, that serving the people has nothing to do with age. But don't you think at some point we have individuals who have to step aside and allow young people to take over? What do you think?
You are right. At some point, yes, he is correct. You know, broadly, serving people really hasn't got to do much with one's age, really. It just depends on your competence and your energy levels. Do you still have the same energy? I'm sure intellectually he's as acute as when he was younger. There's no denying that. But we know that with age, perhaps the energy level drops. But again, it varies from individual to individual.
Right.
You cannot generalize. So I agree with him. I agree with Sidia.
Yes, so I think, like you mentioned, at some point they have to step aside.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's important to
commonsensical.
Yeah, competence.
Yes,
I mean,
but we don't have to let the house in the hands of only young people. We need elders too. I mean, to guide us. I mean, it's good to have the youths in the house. Well, it's good to have them in the house, but it's good to have the elders there.
Always a balance.
Yeah.
Well, balance la ñoo like dem
waxuñ
ne
but we
comme
all
tey
know,
for example
yes.
suñ amoon parliament bi nekk benn agenda rek ñun sax bëgguñ loolu bëgg nañ mixture. That is the same way we're saying that political parties, that political party balance as well has to be there.
Absolutely.
So, yes.
Imagine if we had, like, I don't know, 40%, even 50% female, and a balance between the elderly and youth. Now that would reflect our society, and I think the quality of the legislation, the quality of the debates would all change.
Right. It will, because it will be centered on one thing. So we need that balance, like you mentioned. I think it's important. So thank you so much, Mamadou Mbodj, for joining us on the newspaper review. And Balde here was making excuses, giving excuses for the police. Why didn't you do it?
Excuses.
We don't need excuses. We need action.
The police are our friends.
They are our friends. That is why we're here to.
So make sure you respect them. If you see them on the road, give them attire.
That is why they also. No, but that is why listen.
Give them.
That is why when they behave in an unfriendly way, we should say it. We are friends. We are not enemies. See?
When we're unarmed, when we're on, it's these behaviors from party militants. It's normal. They behave this way. I'm not saying they should not be responsible, but it's normal behavior when things do not go in favor of what they're looking at.
And this is just one place. How many people were rejected?
Wow.
Did you hear of any such violence?
Oh, no.
So this is just a specific
place. A group
so
of
let's
people.
Leave it in its context.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And just deal with it in a calm way.
Well, for me, I do not just see videos on social media and I put that on my head. I will still question. Before I make some conclusion.
Bini video binum deme munulo fe question dara. Parce que yow lo gis moy about 5
an unarmed civilian.
Moy ne amul dara.
Fine, amul dara.
Wow.
Why xam nga before that video ndax mu ngi amone?
Dedet. Logic bi nga fan la nekk. The fact ne dem nañ ba tiyé ko ba pare. Koko am mënatu def dara.
Wow, I know.
Munuñ ko waruñ ko do. Loolu lañ la explain waruñ ko do.
At the beginning.
Wow.
Mane I am not in for the beating. It's wrong. Understand nga ñun suñ society dañ believe in beating too much. Dañoo door jabari, dañoo door xalé, dañoo door student yi, dañoo door yépp. Why I'm not in for it. Why ñun tam we have to take up our responsibilities as citizens. ñu behave positively.
Platform bi wala ma bay.
No, waaye tam bi mo wax tam dëgg la. Bi mo wax tam dëgg la.
Bañu ma ne dëgg la.
Ñun dañu war a suñ responsibilities.
Thing bi mooy dañ dee jël excuses for these people.
Some citizens are not responsible.
Loolu dëgg la. Why you
granted. Why still
it's wrong to be throwing stones on police officers.
That is true. But equally true, the police must not brutalize. ñaari yëpp dëgg la.
Du dem.
moo tax mu métti nag pour balance naka nga ko.
Why at that instant police officer bi moo amee authority bi. ñu nangu loolu. Authority bi si police officer bi même rek authority bi si police officer bi la nekk ba pare. Police officer bi mu ngi dress protect boppam.
Mane let me.
Civilian bu ñëw dóor na dafa sol dara.
soo
protect boppam
even US soo seetee seen documentary prisoner yi nga xam ne ñu ngi leen tëj suñ tryé pour behave otherwise gars yi dañ dee dal seen kaw.
dégguloo ñu ne la prisoner civilian buy dox prisoner.
non.
loolu du benn de
dama laa woon I'm just trying to show you. I'm showing you the connection pour nga mun a xam.
Anyway man li ma wax mooy buñ fi jëlal excuse pour any authority ku nekk daal li nga war a def.
make sure let's behave responsible otherwise.
tamit duñ leen fi jëlal excuse.
ñaari yëpp dëgg la.
so let's go for a short break. wax bi kaddu bi si man la moo mujjee. let's go for a short break and when we come back the program continues. We'll be right back.
Join the Gambia's fastest growing network and enjoy high-speed 4G LTE. Dial *335# to subscribe to QCell's 4G LTE service. There's no need to swap your SIM. QCell, Senior Boss. We innovate, others follow.
E aji bank hida wa yobude number plate jimon dim fi moto jimon din hara atampani yahu ka branch ameng burdoma battade e diro dulaji wono Banjul New Joswang Kairaba Avenue Bakote Tranquil Bursubi Brikama Basse Farafenye Numuyal madum garawol number plate jimon din joni yobugol di webi e aji bank sitayida fala hen kolabi hida wawi noddude e 422-8405 madum 377-5811 aji bank, your investment partner. Begin your SUV life. S-Pass Motors, the new authorized dealer for Kia. Visit us today or call us on 3522-222, 353-2222. Q Money, the biggest mobile money service in the Gambia, has taken mobile banking to the next level. Now, you can link your Q Money wallet with your bank account. Yes, link your Ajib or EcoBank accounts with your Q Money wallet and get instant access to your cash anytime.
Welcome back from that short break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. So from a heated debate, now we take a look at International Women's Day, and because we weren't able to celebrate it proper, so today we have the right person, you know, one of the right people in the country to talk to us about the issues relating to women. We're joined by Fatou Balde, MBE. Thank you so much once again for joining us on the program, talking about issues affecting women, particularly sexual and gender-based violence.
Thank you for having me, as always. Thank you, Jenna.
All right, so before we get into the conversation proper, the theme for this year's International Women's Day is Break the Bias. What does that tell you?
I think we all know that around the world, not just in the Gambia, there are many bias towards women in everyday life, in everything that they try to access, be it it's their rights, be it it's their responsibilities, be it it's their everyday lifestyle. So there are so many biases towards this, and that's why the theme is around that. But also, most importantly, it's that a lot of people will claim that women are now empowered, women have access to certain facilities or certain things, but still, even with that being available, there is still bias towards that. So for instance, I will just continue the conversation. If we talk about women in participation, politics, often men will say that nobody has stopped them. Women can contest. Nobody has stopped them from contesting. But there is a bias towards women contesting. So for instance, parties may decide that they prefer taking a male rather than a woman. So that's bias, right? So those are some of the challenges that people face. Even if it's available, there is a bias. There are certain barriers that women face to access certain things.
I just don't understand. I'm not here to against. I mean, two young women, and I am the only one in the middle today. You know what I said? I wish Fal was here today.
Fal, right?
Fal, yeah.
Well, unfortunately, he's not.
Okay, I mean.
Fortunately for him.
Don't you?
Yeah, fortunately for him.
I am just, I mean, relying on Fal's answers. I mean, don't you think? I mean, men think women are depending on free ride, no more free ride. I mean, we don't have to give them. I mean, I think they should work for it according to Fal. I'm talking in
and to add on to that, Mr. Mbo just talked about the fact that people like you are always talking about rights and not talking about women's responsibilities. What do you have to say in relation to that as well?
Sure. I think first I'll start with Mr. Balde. For going back to that example, we are not asking for free rides. When we talk about these issues, as Mr. Mboj said earlier, we need to look at our society. We need to look at the patriarchal society that we live in. We know that if a woman and a man stand for elections, in most societies within the Gambian context, people will vote for the man because we are raised, we are made to believe that men lead and women follow. And again, going back to the bias and the barriers that women face, if I consider today that I wanted to go for parliamentary elections, I would consider that I am a young mother. I would consider that I would need to talk to my husband to get his approval. I will need to talk to my other extended family members. I will start thinking about what would the media say about me when I come out and contest. Now, if Mr. Balde was to stand for that same position, he would not even lose a sleep over any of those issues because society sees him as a man and Mr. Balde is a man, and that makes him qualify. So because of those barriers that women face, this is why we need that extra support. We are not asking for a free ride. No. But we know that society already disadvantages us as women to reach that position. in order for us to reach that position, and that's where gender equality and gender equity comes, we need that little extra push. If the man is standing here, you need a step further for the woman because of all these barriers that she's facing, so that they can be equally contesting for that position.
What kind of a push do you people want?
So, for instance, what we were demanding, let political parties or we have a policy that says 30% of representation is put aside for women. The rest 70%, we contest that.
But someone said that is unfair. I mean, it's like,
Why
I mean, we are giving it.
The 30% will be contested. It's not like we're just going to handpick a woman and put the woman there.
But only for women, isn't it?
Yes.
Only for women.
Only for women.
Okay.
Because of the barriers. Because we know that within our society, for us to have 30% women in the parliament, with the way that our society thinks of women and women in leadership position, it's gonna take a lot of years for us to achieve that. So in order for that to happen, we must look at other initiatives, other things that we can put in place so that women are given that push to achieve that.
Allow me to ask this question before my darling bump in again. I know she's always ready to...
We'll give you the opportunity because you are talking like every other man.
Okay.
I have seen all these questions from the men that I least expected it from. Asking questions, challenging this. It's like Gambian men, then you ragal put jigen muneka in position of
for
power.
us basically, for me, I am not that type of a person.
Okay.
You know, I want to make sure women are given the opportunity. Okay?
But.
Wow. Man, I don't have a problem with that. Whether you... Man, I have worked in departments. Suma bossy yep, I jigen. You understand? So we had a very good working relationship. Understand? Why? If women are given the positions, let them not forget about their responsibilities.
Absolutely.
These are very important. You
I
know,
totally agree.
sometimes you tend to focus on what you do until you forget about your responsibilities. Men also have rights. You understand?
Yes.
So let's take it to our society level now. Do you believe that men should be the one to take care of women?
No, women are already taking care of men.
How do you mean? I don't understand.
In the Gambian context, tay so gene si mbeda bi jigen yi nga feka ñu ngi enu ba ay siwo ñu ngi tok di jaay already at 5 AM so gene di dem liggéey ndax yow time bu def de feka nga juk jigen yi juk nañ di root di prepare breakfast pour look after góor bi bala mo dem liggéey so we already
yow tey pour nga solu tey pour nga tok fi fi nga tok ni kana ewu solal xale yi defar leen bañ
that doesn't mean ne I mean, the responsibility and the position of the man should not be given. I mean,
what is the position of the man?
The man should be the one to take care of the house.
How?
So in a house, in what context?
So in a house, kuneka dafa am position. Jigen bi dafa am responsibility. The man should be the father and the man of the house.
So ne man
gis nga xam nga góor yi nekkul ne góor yi dañ bañ pour jigéen yi nekk ci kanam de waaye góor yi luñ believe mooy I mean I think dañ leen war a jox seen xaw man xalañ ko
seen cër bi ngeen am ba mu ci kaw ba pare mu ngi tabe ba ci kaw
already because at some point waxuma jigéen yëpp dafa am jigéen yi nga xam ne when they are in particular positions then they tend to I mean compromise with their responsibility.
But you know why? Because most times in those positions, because women are given limited power, limited access to power. That's what patriarchy does. Because joxuñu enough spaces. Few jigéen la ñoo jox a position, waaye position boo xam ne yaa ngi am góor boo xam ne moom nga ansatu. So these are positions that are ceremonial. Understand? Even though ñu ma def advise something in an institution, that my boss is a male who has control over whether I stay in that position or not. Do you understand? Those are the biases that women face. Hence the theme. So mun na nekk an assistant, which is very common within such society. Any department board them, almost all departments, the head is a man, the deputy is a female. But also not do for the emrek. Most times the leader, the kuneka si position of power has control over whether you keep that job or not. And because of those power dynamics, jigen bi do they muna make certain decisions. And those are why it is complicated. Those are the biases that women face in everyday, be it at the workplace or at home.
So okay, fine. We should give women our positions for new man. Let them just hold on to the position. Wow, that's fine. I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem. At times, if you talk about these are very complicated issues. When you talk about it, people tend to think danga against women. Man, I don't have anything against women. Wow. You understand? Because I mangi buy jigin sikirbi, okay? And if she is watching, she knows, man, suma everything, my finance, suma yep moko ame. She knows everything about me, okay? Dama try to empower her to make sure she is all the best that I want her to be. You understand? Why come so gisetam? Sometimes come free ride be. Lulu la ñu wara buy.
Okay. But just to clarify, we are not asking for a free ride. Not at all.
Let's move on to the serious conversation. Yes. But Ibrahim, I have a question for you. You said you empowered her. More amesa finance, amesa duga, amesa gena. Is that enough empowerment? What is your definition of empowerment? Pour mo handle sa business. That is what empowerment means to you. Your finances and
not only that.
Then why lol nga fi wa lang si ban man na benen ban man nga ko empower because man pour mo amesa finance ak yoy man si man lolu gisé ko empowerment.
That's just a few.
Légui yow lan nga ko empower lo xamne amul pour def ak yow sa jëm kanam yow as a goor.
Man suma jaba I've taken her to pour mo further education.
Right.
Okay? She went to another level.
Wow,
understand? Wow. So all these things def nako. You know, the man makes sure. Man, I do not believe the idea of she have to be at the house, more responsible of all the kids. Hamga dañoo feel because she said dafa am jigéen yi nga xam ne ñoo nekk di take care.
Majority.
Wow.
Okay. Wa dama la won ne nekut jigéen nekut góor yi yëpp. There are men that are plain to their women.
So yes, I know I'm here. I know I'm not here as Fatou Balde, but munu ñoo nangu Balde tamit mu jël kaddu gi man tam mato.
Jigéen ñi am nañ solo de. Am nañ solo ci suñu society bi. Waaye ku nekk da nga war a am gis nga xam nga this women right, this responsibility dafa war a yomba. Dañ ko war a yombala. Ku nekk da nga war a xam sa role to play.
Why doo leen ko yombal? Because it means letting go of power. So yen sigur, when you give us that, you are letting go of power. And that is the problem.
Man gives me even power. I did not see any power
because you are in a position of power, so you don't see it. We, the people who are not in that position, we see it.
Moving on, I know sometimes as journalists, people say that, Jane, but hey, you're not a journalist, you're not an activist, you're a journalist. But I take reference from people like Aisha Sise, you know, a person that motivates me every single day, who used her platform to speak for women and speak for children. I get attacked every time based on this. But as journalists, sometimes we have a responsibility to be that voice for the people who do not have a voice. It is so normal globally. So I think also that is something that people need to understand. I know the moment I leave here, the attacks will be coming, but nevertheless, the conversation goes on. Let's talk about the shadow report, the TRRC shadow report on sexual and gender-based violence. Why the need for that?
Thank you again, and I'm really pleased to be here to speak about that. As we all know, the Gambia is going through a transitional justice process, and part of that was the Truth Commission. And the Truth Commission was investigating different human rights violations, including murder, torture, and forced disappearance at Yemen. In addition to those was sexual and gender-based violence. Right. Now, sexual and gender-based violence affects both men and women, but it affects women more. So when the Truth Commission started, we, our organization, WIL, Women in Liberation and Leadership, from the onset, we knew that women will be facing a lot of barriers to go through the Truth Commission because of our culture of silence, because of the taboo surrounding sexual violence. We knew that women would find it difficult to take part in the TRRC process. So because of that, we took up an initiative to find other angles that women can take part through the process. So part of this, we organize like listening circles, safe spaces where women can come and talk to us about their experiences of Jammeh's 22 years of dictatorship. Through these conversations, we were able to refer some people to the TRRC. Some of the women gave statements, some of the women testified, but some of the women gave us their information and their experiences, which we've been putting together to inform a shadow report. Now the TRRC report came out, and in that report they highlighted that a lot of the women, even those who came out and testified, were attacked. There was a backlash, and because of that, a lot of people didn't come. And for some victims, they knew that was going to happen. They didn't come. So the TRRC made this explicit in their report. So for us, we found this report where we collected all the stories that women gave us, especially around sexual violence, what women encountered around sexual violence. But also, as the TRRC, we widened the spectrum of what sexual violence means. Whereas a lot of people just looked at sexual violence as rape. We looked further. And the TRRC did that as well. For us, we found that for some women, when you ask them about their experience, they will talk. Besuñ égé ci part where they experience sexual abuse, then you stop. Some of the women you liggéeyal with, we've worked with them for over 2 years. Bala gaay di open up pour wax ñu if sexual violence. Some of it was rape, some of it was forced nudity. We found that a lot of women, ñun xam nañ ci suñ Gambian context bi, jigéen nga taxaw loko wone ciram yépp xam nga, especially women. Some of the women would report that ñu leen ko def are young enough to be their sons. You know, some of those happen. Women also talked about their experiences comme suñ jëkkër yi suñ leen tëjaan, suñ demaan prison pour seeti seen jëkkër yi, they would be asked to do things that they were uncomfortable with, things that would fall under sexual violence. So we also wanted to find out what happened within prisons during the time. And some of this that I'm going to share is uncomfortable, but we need to make people uncomfortable. And we remember one of our sessions which we had with female prison officers. Jigéen ñi ñu doon explainal ne in the night, some people will come into the prisons, dinañ walk in, duñ dee nangoo sign book, dinañ ñëw génnee jigéen yi ci cell si yóbbu leen. Suñ ñëwee boori 12 duñ leen dee indi ba fajar. Suñ leen indee prison officials yi ñu ñoo wax ne jigéen yi suñ ñëwaan duñ dee mun a toog, duñ dee mun a dox. Ñoom officers yi ñoo daan tàngal ndox xooj jigéen yi. Now these people were not telling us these women were raped, but yen luma wax ni xam ngeen ne lolu lan la mean. Lolu kañ waaw. Understand nga? So these are the kind of things that were happening to these women. Ba pare jigéen itam dañ ñu daan wax ne gis nga buñ leen tijjee si guddi suñ déggaan footsteps ñoom yëpp a di jóg di ñaan ne yàlla kii bu mu taxaw suma bunti prison bi suma bunti cell bi, because suñ taxawee sa bunti cell bi it meant it was your turn that night. So these were the things that were happening, and for us we felt that it was important ne suñu investigate nekkuñ ne ñu put more emphasis on enforced disappearance and murder, ñu fàtte the experiences of women. So dañ bëggoon a indi experience you out. But tamit just before we move on, I wanted to highlight ne tamit jigéeni Gambia nekkuñ woon victim rek. Jigéeni Gambian dañ xee. Over 50% of people who voted are women. ñun ñoo vote Jammeh out. Jigéen yi ñoo toog remember naa benn jigéen mu ne in Banjul bu Jammeh ñëwee benn leen ne suma wiinatee yéen yëpp ay ténja. ñu ne si keroog la jigéen yi jóg ne kii duñ ko votalati parce que bëgguñoo ténja. Understand nga? So jigéeni Gambian dañ xee. Jigéeni Gambian ñoo jóg buñ téyee seen góor yi seen jëkkër yi seen leen prison ñeena yi disappear ñeena yi ñu rey leen ñoom ñoo take up responsibilities. You know, so I wanted to acknowledge the power that women play to take out Jammeh.
So are you telling me that the TRRC did not do enough on that aspect? Is that the conclusion of this particular report? Is it okay for me to say that?
Yes, of course it's okay for you to say that. I wouldn't say it's the TRRC that didn't do enough. Suñ society, again going back to that, more make suñ environment be conducive enough pour women ñu wax ci seen experience. Dañ dee wax jigéen ñun dañ ko bañ be soo waxee rape lan la rape mean ci Olof?
Tëddoo.
Okay. Lan la rape mean ci Soose?
Well, I mean, it's all about sexual violence.
Yes,
so
but lima wax moy so gisee even the words that are attached to it dañ ko seedal loo dafa tëddoog moom dafa ñàpp si kawam dafa ñàppin kan xam nga dañ ko tuutil loo rape amaluñ ko words sax si suñ language yi like what we describe what happened to women when that happens. So I wouldn't say that TRC did a lot. Okay. They went out on outreach activities, they look up initiative to encourage women to participate, but society stopped women from participating.
So you at the end of that report,
wow.
everything.
Luma said one of the highlights for us was and something that we really wanted to come out. Jame, balamo ñëw into power. There were already existing structures. There were already existing things. Luta Jame mu easily muna abuse women.
Okay.
There were already those who were already there. So Jame bum ñëwee into power, dafa exacerbate things. Dafa gëna tax sexual violence mu rampant. Mu fa woon. Ba pare even though Jame dem na, tey sexual violence mu fa. So jigéen yi lu ñu dee wax mooy ne dañ feel ne rey bi bàyyi na. Torture yi bàyyi nañ yeneen human rights violation bàyyi nañ but violence against women hasn't stopped and women's rights are human rights, you know. So how does Jammeh leaving change women's lives in the Gambia? So whole participation of women in decision making, you know, if you look at that, because that is also a manifestation, it's an indication of women's rights and women's status in a country. So there are enough representation.
Okay, so far, I'm afraid that is all we have time for. So, you know, just final words before we leave here, you know, in relation to celebrating International Women's Day. Every day is International Women's Day, and the whole of March is Women's History Month.
So I think we need to have more of these conversations. Dañoo xalaat ne ñu remember ne tey ñu ñoo seetaan am na xale bu jigéen buy seetaan ku ñoo empower man ak yow Jeynaba am na xale bu góor buy déglu fii mu ngi déglu lan la Mr. Balde di wax whether it's positive or negative te mun naa jël loolu tey mu decide ne loolu moo ko guide. So we need more of these conversations ñu gën a wax about jigéen rights si jigéen ak society lan la war a def pour push jigéen yi seen rights.
All right,
thank
you so much
for having me.
So thank you so much for joining us on the program. So up next we're heading right on to Community Watch and we'll be taking a look at the 2022 endometriosis walk. If you've been following QTV, like I said, for the past 2 years, endometriosis was something quite new, but since the coming of Let's Fight Endometriosis organization, that narrative is changing. So we'll be right back, to stay tuned.
With so many things to do in a single day, it's important to have a network you can trust. When there's family and friends to connect with and business calls to make, you need a network that is reliable and fast. Talk longer, browse faster, go farther, and roam wider. When your network is solid, the world is your oyster. QCell, your trusted network in the Gambia.
Want it? Order for it and pay quickly using QuickPay on the QMoney platform. With great technology comes ease and convenience. Get a glimpse of what a comfortable life is with QMoney by dialing *323# now. Call 133 for more information. QMoney, Sunyu Kalpe.
Welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, you're watching QTV this morning. And that was Fatu Balde talking about a TRRC shadow report there. And now we're joined by Fatu. I think I don't need to introduce her because I think for the past 2 years, she's been constant on QTV talking about endometriosis. Like I said, endometriosis, the first day she came on QTV to talk about it, we got a lot of people contact us to ask us what it means because Gambians did not know what it meant at that point in time. But not knowing a fellow Gambian was suffering from it and all the other Gambians in the country who do not even know that they have it. So this year too, she's staging a Let's Walk, Endometriosis Walk 2022 through her organization Let's Fight Endo. Thank you so much for joining us once again.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
So tell us what's new this year. For the past 2 years you've been fighting. Last year in 2019, is it 2020?
Yes, we launched the campaign 2019.
Yeah.
But then we relaunched the campaign 2022. 2021 last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm lost. So 2021 we launched the campaign where we have the First Lady, Minister of Health, and Health.
Right.
So this year we're doing, like every year is March is Endometriosis Awareness Month.
Right.
And last year when we did the campaign, we did a school outreach. And when we did the school outreach, we visit different schools and we realized that I am not the only one suffering from endometriosis. There's a lot of kids that are suffering from this disease and they don't know about it. Because if you have a condition that links with your period, you automatically think that, okay, this is normal because it comes with my menstrual cramp, so it's normal, but it's not. And if you don't know it sooner, it's going to destroy your fallopian tube, your uterus, and sooner or later you might not have kids. And I don't want what happens to me happen to these young ladies, so the young girls. So that's why we did the school outreach. So this year we're doing the awareness work again, but we decided to do it in Banjul. So where we're going to get the community involved, the schools. So we visited different schools. All the Combo area and also in Banjul. So we're going to have like 5 students from each school to come to the march, and also where we're going to give a speech and educate and also give like gifts, medication and sanitary pads for the kids.
Yeah. So what impact do you think last year's walk registered? Because if you're doing it again, it means it went well, you know?
Yes.
There's that impact. So what was that? Why the need to do this again?
I mean, first of all, breast cancer, they have awareness every year. So March being Endometriosis Month, we decided we have to do it every year to continue to educate with people. So there was a huge impact last year. We have husbands that call us like, hey, my wife is going through this. We have parents, kids that cry to us, hey, I have this, but I don't know it. So it was like a huge impact for the kids and also for the parents and husbands. Like now that, just like you said, not a lot of people know about endometriosis. Now, everybody know about endometriosis because of the foundation. So we were like, we have to keep continuing this every day because there's no cure, but there's treatment option. So why can't we continue to educate our youths and also the husband and the parents so that every year everybody will know that there's a disease called endometriosis here and it's not going anywhere. So why can't we just continue educating our general public?
Okay, I have 2 questions for you. How did you manage, I mean, to own up to this and come out in public to be sensitizing, because it takes a whole lot of confidence to do this. You know, I know you've been thinking about how to approach this. I mean, how did you feel? I mean, coming out, telling people, I mean, you have this, and let's see how best to help prevent people from this thing.
To be honest, it was really difficult. Like, I was married for 9 years, and throughout those 9 years, I didn't know I have the disease, right? So I was trying to get pregnant. I was trying to get pregnant like five years after being married, but I wasn't able to conceive. So then later, when I get diagnosed, then I find out I have endometriosis. So I wanted to come out to talk about it, but then you know our culture, everybody's like, just keep it silent, not MC family, but nobody should know. And my husband was not a big fan of me coming out. He was like, no, you can't do this. Just be quiet, let's treat it ourselves, let's do it. So after when I finally filed for divorce, I was like, I can't be silenced anymore. I have to speak up. I have to educate other people. I don't want anybody to go through what I've been through. So I wrote a post on Facebook. I was like, my life with endometriosis. So less than 10 minutes, my mom was like, delete ko, you can't say anything. But then there's another Gambian who was in Morocco at the time, saw the post and reached out to me. I was like, hey, I have endometriosis too. I was like, oh my God, I'm not the only one suffering from this, you know? So that's why I was like, even though it was hard, I didn't know how society would judge me. I don't know how, our Gambian culture, what people will say, but I was like, I'm going to do it regardless. It doesn't matter what people say, negative or positive, I'm just going to share my story. And I did that, and surprisingly, it was a very good impact. Like, I received a lot of positive messages from people.
What are the symptoms, that you have this?
You have cramps. Like, when you see your period, you start having this horrible pain. You have heavy bleeding. You have back pain. Sometimes you get really dizzy and you get super tired if you go up down the stairs, like 2 stairs, you get tired. And also sometimes when you get married, when you're having sex with your husband, you have very painful sex and you get constipated, diarrhea. So the symptoms vary from people. Yeah, sort of a thing. Exactly. Yeah. So you can have like very bad pain to a point that you can't even handle it. Some people even faint, So for me, it was the constant pain that I couldn't deal with, and I was constipated and also have back pain. I was like, I'm too young. I'm only 20 something. Why am I getting back pain? So, and I get very fatigued and stuff like that, and I get depressed a lot. I was like, this is not normal. So that's when I realized that I need to see a doctor. Even when I was here in Gambia, I was having the pain, but I was just like, it's nothing. But then the symptoms and the signs keep getting worse and worse. So it's really difficult, because when you have your period as a woman, you're like, this is normal, it's nothing. But then it might not be normal. It might be endometriosis. And once it destroys your fallopian tube and your uterus, if you get married, you don't have kids, we all know how Gambian culture is.
So how are you dealing with that? The fact that you can't have a child and you are open about it, how are you dealing with that? What feedback are you getting from people?
Okay, 2019 is when I had my second surgery. And because endometriosis have 4 stages. Like when I first did my surgery, I didn't know that I have stage 3, which is like closest to the worst. And when my doctor told me that I'm stage 3 and one of my fallopian tube is blocked. So we all know you need your 2 fallopian tubes to get pregnant. You can still get pregnant with 1 fallopian tube. But I can still get pregnant, but it's difficult to get pregnant. I mean, getting pregnant is 50-50 chance. So now imagine having to deal with endometriosis and also having to deal with 1 fallopian tube. So for me, I don't think nothing of it. I'm like, it's God. You know what I'm saying? If God says I'm going to have a child, I'm going to have a child. At the end of the day, there's so many kids out there that need home. I can adopt.
Definitely.
I can be a foster parent, So I can give a child a love to be a parent for somebody else. So I don't just focus on having my own child. If it happens, fine. So I don't care what people say. I don't care about negative comments.
Let's talk about your marriage, your husband. Your divorce, did this divorce happen because of endometriosis? Did endometriosis have anything? Is it a determining factor in this entire divorce? That's what I want to know.
Yes, because my husband was a Mandinko guy. So when we got married for 9 years, when I met my husband, he was nobody, right? Back in the state. I filed for him, give him immigration papers, like everything. We all know if you live in America, you don't have no papers, you can't travel, you can't go anywhere, you can walk. So I was there for him from day one. So we married for 9 years, no kids. Then he decided that, okay, well, he was very supportive. But you know how guys can be very supportive, but then behind their mind, they're like, I have another option, meaning I can marry another woman.
Right.
So what he did was he came to Gambia. He was like, I'm going to Gambia for a project. And then he ended up getting married behind my back. I have no idea. I was just in Minnesota. Somebody called me and said, no, that can't be possible. Like, me and my husband are so close. I'm so good with his family. Like, this will never happen.
Yeah.
But yes, because of endometriosis, we didn't have kids. He came to Gambia, get married behind my back, and I was supposed to go through a second surgery. So I was there by myself, with my parents, going through my second surgery. So I was like, if you can be there during my worst time, I don't think you can be there during my good time. So I was like, let me just file for divorce. So I filed for divorce and move on. So and I was like, I wish you good luck. If you need a child, so it's because of the endometriosis.
Well,
I'm so sorry that you had to go through that part.
Sorry about that. I have seen a whole lot of women. I mean, most of them can't have kids. But I've never seen a brave woman like you. I mean, I've never seen a woman sitting plain on television talking about her condition. I've never seen that. I mean, it's more of people talking about it you know, you know, but I've never seen this type of a woman.
Thank you.
You know, she is brave.
Yeah, she is. She is. The fact that you're open about it and talking about your husband and your divorce and everything, it's not something that people talk about in Gambia on a daily basis. And thank you so much for opening up on our platform as well to talk about all this.
I mean, I feel like we should just be out of the closet. There's no need to be silenced anymore. We have to break the
barrier. And it's good that, I mean, we talk about this because maybe there is a person who can benefit from it.
Exactly.
Maybe the person is experiencing the same thing, but with this interaction here, we'll know how to
so moving on, where do you want to see Let's Fight Endo? I know you're doing every year, it's a tradition now that there's a walk, but beyond that, what else do you want to achieve? Beyond also doing school outreach programs, I know the Sickle Cell Foundation, they're working towards having a whole center. So, I mean, it's good to be ambitious sometimes. You never know where it can get you.
And that's what we want. We wanted to have like a whole center, a whole hospital that just focus on endometriosis. Just like a OBGYN specialist that would treat people about endometriosis. Like we team up with Dr. Firas, MK Clinic here in the Gambia, it's a private clinic. So he's very knowledgeable about the disease. So what we did is we partner up with him and give him funds, like money, so that any of these girls that are going through with us, we can take care of their bills. Because we know how Gambia is expensive. So you either choose to give your wife his money or you treat their condition. So we decided to make it easy for the husband and also for the parents who are less fortunate so that we can pay for their medical bills. So we are already doing that with Dr. Firas. But in the future, what we want is that we have our own center, also team up with all the hospitals here in the Gambia that every time you go to the hospital and you complain about your symptoms, they can also take a look at like, okay, maybe it might be endometriosis, maybe it's not just this, you know, stomach pain, and not to brush off their symptoms. So we want every single clinic here in the hospital, every hospital in the Gambia to know and be aware about the disease. And also we have our center where we help the women, give them counseling, medication, treatment option, and all that stuff. So that's definitely a goal for us. So far, so good. We are doing an amazing job. And we have 5 students that was sent to Dr. Firas.
Amazing.
And most of them have endometriosis symptoms.
Oh, wow. So, okay, and also you have a business in Gambia. You know, as a Gambian, you decided to give back by, you know, having a makeup brand as well as a clothing, you know, brand in the country. I think that's a good thing too, despite all the challenges looking into business. So how does it feel doing business in Gambia? When you Gambia, Metina, Metuwood?
Metina. Okay. I think it's a roller coaster ride. Okay. You know, everything you do is a roller coaster ride. At first, it was very difficult, but then thank you for your support and also being the brand ambassador for Tutor Beauty. It has been doing so good so far. Yeah, so far so good, but then there's ups and downs. But Gambians are very supportive. You know, believe it or not, I know sometimes we can say, you're doing their support, you know, but there's some people out there that support. You know, people like yourself, you know, and you guys having us here talking about, you know, issues that matters and also to express our business and stuff like that means a lot. So it's going good. It's really going good. So I can't complain. So thank God. So.
Okay, you can't complain. That's a good thing. So yes, let's talk about the event now. So what should we look forward to come on the 19th of March, 2022?
Which is this Saturday.
This
oh my
Saturday.
God, it's so close. I'm super nervous. Like I don't even know. But yes, we're gonna have last year we have Minister of Health, we have First Lady. So this time we wanna do a little bit differently. We're still gonna invite the Minister of Health and First Lady as well, but we wanna invite like the people in Banjul since it's gonna be in Banjul. So I don't know much about Banjul, but we are gonna invite like the big people in Banjul is gonna be there, and there's gonna be a speech. We're gonna walk from Makati Square all the way to the I-22nd. So where we're gonna give speech and also give out medication, sanitary pads for the kids. So we're gonna have all these kids from the schools as well. So and police band will be joining as well. So yeah, so it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be very educational awareness work, not just to walk, but also to learn and also know about the disease. Because when they made GC fight, I never have a woman just sit down with me and talk to me one-on-one, like the principal. So I just explained my story, and then she started talking. Do you only need 5 girls? Because we have a lot of our students here that's going through the same thing.
Menstrual pain,
exactly.
Ones.
So I was like, absolutely. And then she was like, whatever you are doing, you're not doing it for you. You're doing it because of God. Just know that. You are helping the kids today, and one day you have kids of your own. Just have that belief. You know, next thing you know, I started crying. Like, I never share my story without crying, but then now at some point I was like, it's been 2 years, 3 years. I think I'm strong enough, you know, just.
But I can see those eyes are watering. I wanted to come give you a hug, but I know you can do it.
It's hard. It's hard. We were at GRTS the other day. The guy was like, I don't even want you guys to go because this is a very important topic, and I feel like everybody should know. And that principal at GSFI really touched my heart. I was even crying with her because she made me believe that one day I will have kids of my own. And also, like, the work I'm doing, I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it because I'm giving back, and it's like, you know, it's what God's want me to do.
But like you mentioned, you know, you can have kids without having to give birth.
Exactly. That's what I always say. But you know, our mentality here in Gambia, Gambian men, they believe that they need to have their own blood. But I feel like there's so many kids that need home. Why can't we adopt? You know, we need to normalize that. I think that's something that we need to normalize. It's okay to adopt. You know, if you don't have your own kids, adopt. Just like Sani MC say. You know, she raised awareness about infertility. And now she adopt a brand, you know, newborn baby. I was like, that's what I want. I want to adopt here one and also one in Minnesota, and just my life is over. I'm done. You know, like I don't need anything else.
Yeah, but are you looking forward to getting married again? Because I know with the experience that you've had, married for 9 years, had to divorce because of endometriosis. You know, you're not married yet. You know, the gap is there. So is marriage something that you're looking into?
Yes, actually, I'm engaged. So
okay, that's good to know.
I'm definitely looking forward to marry, but I'm not rushing into anything. So we're just taking it step by step. And the fact that he knows my condition, he knows, you know, my past history with my ex-husband. So he's very, very supportive. So I was like, I don't know, I'm just blessed. Like I just can't even talk about it because he stood by my side from day one when I was going through a divorce, when I was going through my surgery, and also my best friend passing away. So like my life was just, I don't know, you know, I feel like I was gonna die, you know. So at some point I was like, why can't I just commit suicide and just call it a day?
Yeah, that came to your mind?
Exactly,
Committing suicide?
Yep.
So how did you deal with that, you know?
Friends and family. Like I'm my dad's best friend. Like I'm too close to my parents. So my dad doesn't never ever want to see me cry. Every time I cry, I see my dad cry. So I don't want to like seeing my dad cry. So I just like try to put it together. And also the guy I'm talking to right now, he's very supportive. So he's there for me from day one. He was like, hey, kids or no kids, I love you no matter what. And that's what I need. And thank God I have that.
Wow, isn't this beautiful? Great conversation here with Fatou. Thank you so much for joining us. So any final words in relation to the event 2022 19 March? Man mom kuma fa degad ne mamas, ah? Yow nak?
Well, nga yobale.
Final words before we leave here.
I just want to say to all the parents out there, please pay attention to your daughters. And all the husbands, please be there for your wife. You know, having kids doesn't make a woman, doesn't make you a less of a woman. You know, you love your wife, you marry her regardless. You didn't know that you guys were going to have kids. You say, I love you, I'm going to marry you. It's for better, for worse, not just for the better. So please be there for your wife, no matter what. And also, please pay attention to your daughters. When they're having cramps, menstrual cramp, just take it seriously. Don't just say it's menstrual cramp. Don't just say, also say it, did not buy. Also, maybe I'm dumb, did not buy. It might not even stop, you know. Just please, let's be there for each other.
All right. And most of these things have to be even scientifically proven. Because then if they man like the sometimes I'm not dumb, you know, cramps, they have cramps still. So some of these things that we say, oh, gorsolale sa wenbi, all of these things are just traditional things that we get to say. Based on coffin, that they affect Halibi in the long run. You're smiling. So bull them the one so lalesa wenbi or anything. Anything that we are supposed to discuss as a family, it has to be direct. There's nothing like góor bi su la defee lii mooy xew. Góor bi su ko defee fan lan mooy xew. Loolu lañ war a wax not ne waaw not ne góor bi su la laalee fii loolu wax boobu leerut te xale bi mun na moo liitu mu def dara ëllëg si biir parce que wax bi leerutoon. So I think as parents we have to be really open to our kids.
We have problem. I mean ñun suñ society bi da ngaa gis ki nga we are coming up because xam nga comme ñu mel ni yéen tey xam nga soo leen amee ay doomi jigéen da ngeen naa teg gaa ngeen wax leen waaye ñun dañ am time suñ society bi dafa deelu gannaaw boo xam ne pour nga waxtaan ak sa doom yooyu sax it's a taboo.
It is exactly, it is a taboo. Even to speak up is a taboo.
Comme man li ma wax nii sax man tey li ma wax ni sa am na ñoo xam ne dañ koo téye lu rëy ne buñ la laalee fii buñ la dugalee fii or conversations yi nii moo normal gis nga waaw comme yooyu moo normalut affaire bi daal nañ tudda affaire bi
nañ go straight to the point
waaw ne lii su xewee diggante lii ak lii mooy xew waaye not ne kii su la raayee fii understand nga
loolu moo def man bu ma nekkee fii ni suma maamu ne ma gis nga sa mbaax léegi soo toogee si demee si néegi góor rek da ngaa bi
waaw xanaa dégguloo maa ngi receive from
waaw ñu ne waaw
ñu ne maire bi
waaw
dafa ne doomam bi soo demee malaan bi bu ko simi
bu ko tas
bu tas malaan bi
ubbi ko nii rek
mu ne dafa égal malaan
so malaan buñ égal tas nañ malaan bi xale bi lu mu bugg a def mun na koo def te malaan bi du ko
yaa booy mu ne malaan bi
bu mu tas waaye tasut waaye luy xew na
loolu lañ war a bàyyi nag loolu lañ war a bàyyi nañ go straight to the point su ma sori moo daa waxal sooy wax daal dema straight to the point bul toog bu ko laaxal soo toogee naan soo demee si néegi ko da ngaa biir non so comme na ko waaye tamit yaay nañ you need to have that friendly face papa yi sax you need to have xam nga dañ de woon it's a taboo pour góor mu wax sa doomi jigéen about the birds and the bees but I think it's normal you know what ñu war a nekk noonu nga friendly have that friendly face be your daughter's best friend be your son's best friend so that at least nañ mën a ñëw wax ak yow
lii mooy xew daal nañ la ko leeral
I think it's coming up ñun dañoo change affaire si dañoo change narrative bi
si ñun la war a starté
suma sister dama leen dee wax man boy la jaar naa si yu bëri so you have to be very careful
jeex na tak waaye nga wax gaay nag suñ kiyaa comme lan mooy xew suñ kiyaa fulute waxal gaay the actual thing the point lan loolu lañ nekk di advocate right now anyway man pare naa si duma go in yow moom
can I get a hug
yeah sure
yeah you deserve it.
And I hope to see you guys.
Yeah, we will come to the event. Thank you so much for being strong.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. So viewers, I'm afraid that is all we have time for. Till we come your way with another interesting program.
Thank you for sharing.
Tomorrow, One Stop Water Solution as well as Surawa Kamara Unified IT Institute. Bye for now.
yelloo na ndox mu set te ndox mu set dafa bokk ci dunni doomu aadama te biir kat amul seetu waral na lépp lu fay dugg dafa war a doon li nga xamante ne ni lu indil doomu aadama bi loraange ci wàllu wérugu yaram One Stop Water Solution Limited ñu ngi fii ci biir réew taxaw temm fexe pour gis ne doomu aadama bu ne di nga naan ndox moo xamante ne ni ndex mu sell te wóor la ndax indil nañ leen ay xeetu filtres yi nga xamante ne ni mun ngeen koy jëfandikoo ci seeni pompe yi ci biir réew moo xam booxool ngay jëfandikoo wala pompe nawek yi ne bépp xeetu filtre bi nga xamante ne ni dina la indil wér gu yaram musal la ci loraange amal nañ leen ko ci biir réew am nañ 10-inch filter set of 3 bii nag ñett lay àndal bu ci ne ak li muy liggéey bokk na ci 5 micron pp sediment filter bii nag mooy segg ndox mi ba mu set génne fa lépp li nga xamante ne ni warta ànd ak ndox moomu bala nga koy jëfandikoo gat granule carbon filter bii nag mooy segg génne lépp lu xeetoog chemical ak organique yi nga xamante ne ñoom ñoo nekk ci biir ndox mi sellal ndox mi ba waral mu soppi li nga xamante ne moom la ndox mi di saf mu soppi cafin gi def ko ndox mu sell te óor CTO block carbon filter bii nag du yem rek ci segg ndox mi sellal ko ba mu sell waaye nag daf koy yokk ay ngéneel yi nga xamante ne ni day baax ci wér gu yaramu doomu aadama bi dëgëral waaye tamit yàggal lool sa yuur wi am nañ tamit 12-inch filter set of 3 boobu it liggéey bu nu mel lay def ñetti filter yépp benn bu ne ak lu muy liggéey am nañ 10-inch post carbon 10-inch coconut carbon 75 GPD pure one membrane bi amal nañ leen bépp xeetu water tank tàmbalee ko ci 500 litres 5000 ba ci 1000 litres ak plumbing fittings kon nag mbokk yi bu ngeen buggee naan ndex yu sell te wóor seeti leen One Stop Water Solution Limited suñu makkaan bu mag baa nga foofa ca Sukuta Highway Mariama Kunda Johnson wala nga call ñu ci 505 5691 796 8272 One Stop Water Solution Limited ndox mu set mooy yàggal dundu ni doomu